Kia ora, everyone. Feel free as we open things up this afternoon. Feel free to put on your mic and say hello if you feel comfortable to. I'm seeing Silke. Oh, hey Dale.
Hiya.
Hello.
Hey Andrew.
Oh, yep.
We've got Leslie,
Hello.
Taiko.
I just finished my Halloween candy. Sorry, I had a mouthful of chocolate.
Oh, yes. Halloween candy's still going. What, did you go trick-or-treating for it?
No, we had kids coming next year.
Yeah, it's a great excuse to fill your house up with candy. Oh, I'll just keep letting everyone in. That's my job.
Have you had your baby, Cheryl?
I have, yeah.
Tell us the details.
It's a little boy.
Yep.
His name is Rio, and he is by far the most challenging test of my personal agility. Yeah, I had him on the 3rd of October, so just over a month ago.
Oh my goodness! Congratulations!
Congratulations! This is probably one of the first days that I've felt kind of human. I've showered and feeling just so many different emotions. I can't actually fully comprehend all the different things that are going on and happening, but no, he's great. And if all going to plan, depending on what he's doing, if just before the end of the call, my sister might bring him in if he's awake, to say hello. He's got a solid full head of hair.
Awesome.
Yeah, he's awesome. So yeah, I'm just learning. I have an incredible appreciation for parents across the world. Or I just had no idea how challenging this. I will never offer any advice to a parent ever again. Yeah.
Well, as they say, the only perfect parent is the one who doesn't have children.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, that was me. I had all sorts of ideas about perfect way to do it. Yeah, what a ride. So yeah, I'm thinking there's a lesson in all of this around personal agility, that's for sure. All right. Let's kick ourselves off. I might just ask if everyone, if it's all right with you, if you're able to pop your mics back on mute, unless you have anything you want to share right now, feel free to. Otherwise, we'll just put mics on mute so we can get ourselves kicked off. Again, we only have an hour, and I say only because this is blinking exciting topic that I'm really looking forward to learning more about myself and being a participant today. So I've been connecting in with a couple of incredible women, a couple of wahine who have already sparked and inspired my thinking in this space. And I'm seeing them do some incredible stuff around the education around mental agility. So we're going to dive into that topic shortly. But my role is to just set us up and kick things off. So as with all of these sessions, so it's part of the Agile HR community. One thing that we love, if you feel comfortable to, is that if you want to put your camera on, it really allows us as a community to feel some connection. And this is one of the goals of today's session actually, is to connect. It may be connecting with others, or it may be connecting with yourself. And you're going to learn a bit more around what that means in the sense of mental agility today. So again, if you feel comfortable, feel free to put your camera on and just check that your microphone's on mute. And while the cameras are on, and if you have an opportunity to put it on speaker view, depending on the device that you're on, I always love to just take a quick moment to offer a chance to smile at the rest of the community that have tuned in today. So if you can see some of the other beautiful people that are here on the call and offer up a smile, it's lovely to have you all here and to get to jam and learn and share together on a Friday afternoon. So thank you for being here. Safety, respect and learning These are three of the key values that we're looking at with Agile HR. Aotearoa is making sure this is a safe environment. As always, to prevent any kind of Zoom bombings. If at any point you see anyone join the call and anything's being shared that is not appropriate, you're welcome to just put your mic on and let me know. If it's something that we need to end the call, I will, just for the safety of everyone in the group. In terms of safety around how we work and talk with each other, that sits nicely and with respect. So we are going to have a breakout session today. So an opportunity for you to talk with others and share some of the things that are happening, that are going on in your mind. So again, I think we've got the right kind of people that are coming in, that already this stuff is second nature. But I do feel a responsibility when we're setting this up to make sure we're just putting it out there that, hey, we respect other people's views. We may not always agree with them. In fact, it can be fun and interesting when we don't, but just being really cautious and conscious of the way that we sort of respond when we don't agree with what other people are sharing. And learning is the other big part. Today, we are learning about a topic that is relatively, it's certainly new from my understanding of what's happening within the Agile world. And it's a space that is fastly growing traction. So hopefully this is going to give you a chance to learn something new, take it on board. And I know that these two wonderful women are going to be doing more and more teaching in this space as well. And they want to keep connecting with other people that are sparking, their brains are sparking with us as well. So if you're connecting in with what we share today, I really encourage you to touch base with these ladies, connect in with them, because I think the more of us that can start sharing the knowledge and information in this space, the more we can actually begin introducing it into our organizations. Cool. I'm also recording this session, so I'll edit it up afterwards and make sure it's shared out early next week, just in case there's anything in here you want to come back and check out as well. Or if you know anyone else that can't make the call today, that link will be available publicly. So you're more than welcome to share that through as well. All right, let's move through to our topic and our beautiful speakers that we have today. So I first got introduced, whether you call it through fate, synchronicity, I don't know what brought us into the same worlds, but I was at Agile on the Beach. It was earlier this year, wasn't it? It was this year. Man, this has felt like a long year. It was 2020. We were up in Tauranga at Mount Maunganui, and there's a lot of wonderful people that go to Agile on the Beach, but there was a certain person that had this wonderful energy about her, and I got to hear her speak, and it just so happened that there were some things happening in our worlds at the time that meant that we had a really deep conversation the very first time we ever spoke. And sometimes when you meet someone and you just go straight into a level of depth that you don't talk about all the fluff on the top, and we just had this wonderful, beautiful conversation. I believe both of us were sort of in tears by the end of it. It was wonderful, and I was really fortunate to get that opportunity. And I knew she was someone that I wanted to learn more from. So we've kept in touch. She's often on our calls, on these Agile HR calls as well. And I'm always throwing out the opportunity to people, if you have something you want to share in these sessions, get in touch. So I'd like to introduce Tanya Kennard-Campbell, who is tuning in. Now, where are you today? Yesterday, I talked to you, we were in Auckland. Where are you today?
We're in Hamilton.
In Hamilton.
We did it. Yeah, so we met the OD network this morning, which was great.
I think last time I spoke to you, you were both on a boat. And which one were you in?
On my boat.
Yeah. On Lynn's boat. And my first introduction was with Tanya, and Tanya said, hey, I've been working with Lynn, and we've got some awesome stuff and we'd love to share it. So Lynn, welcome to the call as well. And I'm really, really grateful that you guys are making the time to share with us. I would like to step back and allow you ladies to take over the session today. But I guess one of the things that I really get excited about when I think about this concept of talking about mental agility is how we can actually bring this into language that's going to make sense in a workplace. And I just want to kind of preface this with, this is some deep stuff in terms of, we're talking about people and how they feel and their identity at work. And the goal for today, we had a quick conversation before, the goal for today is the hope that each person joining this call gets an opportunity to remember a part of themselves that they have the innate ability to tap into. And I just want to craft sort of, an intention for today is what we're going to be learning about is something that we already all have the ability to do and to tap into. The opportunity today is to actually figure out, how do I tap into that and remember how to do that, because I always have the ability to. So ladies, perhaps you can kick us off with a little bit more about what we're going to be working on today.
Hi, everyone. My name's Tanya Kennard-Campbell, and this is my lovely sister, my lovely sister, Lynn. So today we're going to be talking about what mental agility is, how that works, and how the question is really, can we impact the mental agility of the workforce? So what we were going to do was really have a conversation about why this is important from our perspective, and just to check in with you around that, whether you think it is too. And then to really share some exercises we'd like you to do, a bit of reflection, so you can connect hopefully with this material yourself. And then we're going to have a breakout room right at the end to have a conversation about anything that you've learned during this session, and anything that you can do, that you think you could do in terms of impacting the mental agility of the workforce. So that's what we're going to do, if that's okay. So shall I kick off, Cheryl? Is that all right? So
absolutely. Yeah. I trust you, ladies.
Okay, great. The internet's a bit odd here, so sometimes all your faces disappear for me. So I'm just going to assume you're smiling at me when that happens. I can see the smiles there. That's lovely. So I won't really introduce my background, because if you wanted to check out LinkedIn, you can. But very briefly, mental health background, then worked in culture change and transformation and leadership development. Lynn is a highly skilled Agile coach and leader. So really, I wanted to just dive straight into mental agility, because that's what we're here to talk about. So I really saw in my career that businesses clearly are nothing without their people, and their mastery and engagement and brilliance and aligned purpose is really what helps our businesses rock. But what I was seeing was that businesses weren't really set up to engage the collective success. They weren't really set up for really helping the individuals within the organization. So it wasn't set up to enhance the whole. That's what I was seeing. And what I was also seeing is that there's increasing demands on the workforce to be a certain way. So, to be a servant leader, to be agile, to be adaptable, to be T-shaped, E-shaped, and all these shoulds that are being placed upon us in terms of how we should show up for work, with very little understanding of how to do that. But also, as the world is changing, of course, as Agile is really taking hold outside of technology organizations as well, there's increasing complexity and uncertainty in the workplace. So people are having to learn how to deal with that. So especially with the COVID pandemic, complexity and uncertainty is now really plopped on everyone's laps. It's not just people working in sort of agile environments. So am I right in saying that there's increasing complexity and uncertainty in the workforce? And if you agree, just raise your hand. Is anybody seeing increasing complexity? Yeah, thank you. And what I was seeing,
Two hands.
Two hands. So what I was also seeing was that people were struggling human beings were struggling with that complexity and uncertainty. Anybody else seeing that in the humans around them in terms of dealing with that complexity and uncertainty? So the mental agility is a term that we use, and it's kind of really important to us to start encouraging folk to use that word and use that term, because it's a way in which we can start neutralizing mental health and resilience. It's not just about mental health and resilience, it's something more. So the movement really for us was, we really want to encourage organizations to invest in the mental agility of the workforce, because being able to adapt and respond to change is a mental, it's a mental ability. It's an internal ability that we have, and that is where we need to invest in helping people do that. So it's investing beyond mental health and resilience. It's not just about protecting people's health. It's about how do we support the evolution of our workforce? How do we help individuals evolve? So, and how do we align that for collective success? So my lovely assistant, Lynn, is going to share an image, which is what we call the triple win. And there you have it. Hopefully you can see that. So the way we see it is that mental agility is the foundation for team agility. If we have mental agility individually, the team is able to respond and adapt well. And of course, the teams of teams of teams of teams is what then contribute to business agility, for the whole business being able to adapt and respond. Because businesses aren't things, they are made up of people. So where can we start around mental agility? So the next diagram here is, if anyone's heard of Ken Wilber, this is really a way of describing a social system, or a human system, should I say. And there's different areas in which we live. So the I area is the, my internal world. So myself, my thoughts, my perceptions, my emotions. And we're saying that that's a foundation, and that's where we need to look at. And this is what we call the black box. So the black box, the fight controller, is often where we've heard from senior leaders, that's the stone that people are terrified to pick up, because if you pick that up, wiggly things come out, and people are often frightened that those wiggly things might not go back in. How do we help people in the I space, which is what mental agility is about? So the we is obviously the relationships, the it is our behaviors and our skills, and the it's is the culture. So we play in all those areas. So we do cultural agility labs and mental agility labs and leadership development coaching. But the mental agility that we're going to be talking about here is the I. And my encouragement to you today is really to think about yourself. When we walk through and talk about these subjects, think about yourself and reflect on what we're saying and see how true it is for you. Because we are not separate. No one is separate. And so how I show up has an impact. And the way I approach my work has an impact on people around me. So what is mental agility? That might help if I explain what that is. So it's beyond mental health, and it's beyond resilience. It's mental agility is our ability to adapt and respond to change with clarity, resilience, and insight, irrespective of the circumstance. And it's our ability to bring our best thinking to complexity and uncertainty wherever it's found. That's our definition. But what we're really talking about here is that mental agility is our innate ability to do that. We are designed to be able to adapt and to change. Human beings evolve because we have that ability built into our design. So it's an innate ability. We're going to talk a little bit about why people don't tap into that more often. And part of our movement is to help to kind of really bring the conversation forward around how do we all connect to this? Because of course, when we connect to this, we rock. We absolutely rock. So in a lot of the materials we've created and we use in workshops, we talk about a red line. So there's a red line in terms of there's the red line in terms of being in alignment with our mental agility or out of alignment with our mental agility, bearing in mind that mental agility is an innate capability that's hardwired into our design. So what does it look like when we're in and out of alignment with our mental agility? And there are implications for being in alignment and implications for being out of alignment. And those implications, when you understand that's how it works, are clues that give you feedback. If it gives us all feedback about where we are. Okay, so where am I right now? Am I out of alignment? Is this the time I should have this conversation or not? So this diagram here is what we call the experience of mental agility. And we often use this with teams when we first go in to do a we assessment, just to get people to look at this. And if vulnerable on one side was number 1 and resilient on the other side was number 10, where would you rate yourself in the last month? Where are you falling naturally? So just have a look at this. This is just really, for now, it's just a reflective tool. And when you look down those things, I'm sure there'll be things there that you will find familiar. And when you're out of alignment, 1 or 2 of those things may be more prevalent for you. We're all different, but 1 or 2 of those things may be more prevalent for you. And when we're in a workshop, we often get people to circle some of the things on the red side that's common for them when they're out of alignment, and on the green side, some of those things that are common when they're in alignment. So at the top of the diagram is a bit skewed, but is that little funny symbol is meant to be a compass, and the compass is representing the fact that the mind is designed for mental agility, and the mind, we are designed to evolve. So your body is constantly giving you feedback to try and help you get back into alignment. So the feedback is the feeling state that we're in. So our feelings are, we're never without a feeling, whatever that feeling may be. And that feeling is there to give you feedback around where you're at. So one of the really simple questions we ask teams, and we help teams with a mental agility business, is to consider something, to consider for themselves what they look like when they're out of alignment. So here's a question we ask. We ask them to reflect on, what do you feel like when you're out of alignment? So feel like, an example would be frustrated, disconnected, irritated, impatient. There's some examples. So that's the I, the internal experience of being out of alignment. And what then the question is, what does it look like when I'm out of alignment? So what that looks like may be that I'm sharper. You know, so we had some good examples recently with the team, didn't we?
Yeah, very like looking away, disconnect.
Yeah, I disconnect. I sit back. You know, I huff and puff.
I can't complete my sentences.
Can't complete my sentences. Whatever that looks like. So that there's always a visual clue, and that's in the it area in terms of the behaviors. So you can always see people's behaviors, right? And then the final question is, what do I need from others? So that's really key, and that's where you start connecting in with your team. For me, for example, I do not want to be put on the spot. Okay, Tanya, go. Like, that is something I don't like. So having my team members know that about me is really helpful. So this question is really getting people to reflect on, what is it that my team is likely to see in me? Like, if they're working with me, what are they likely to see when I'm out of alignment?
And what's interesting is that the team often see things that you actually don't know for yourself, which is like, it's really interesting when you're working with a team and they'll actually highlight, oh, really, is that what I do? So, yeah.
And actually, the question we've had before around this is about safety. We've just done this with a team that we've done no mental agility work with at all, and it, you know, we've got somebody on the call who was involved in that, but it seemed to go really well. It's because it's very safe. You don't have to reveal too much about yourself. So that's just one question we ask. So why this is relevant is the fact is that we want people to begin to recognize in terms of mental agility, you will go out of alignment, right? So gain awareness of what that would look like. Have a conversation, you know, factor it in. So factor in that you're going to go out of alignment, no matter who you are. And then begin to sort of have some compassion for yourself about it, and also for others, because, you know, bad behavior is not necessarily a bad person. It's somebody's being out of alignment in that moment. And if somebody is out of alignment, what is it they need, right? So talk about it. So this is a very safe way of being able to actually have mental agility conversations. We all go in and out of alignment. What do you need to go into alignment? What do you need? What takes you out of alignment? Some of us need to collaborate and to talk things through to progress our thinking. Some people need space and time and reflection. So when you do this, and you have, because we're not isolated, having that feedback and support from your team or even your partner, have this conversation with your partner, right? What happens is, rather than feeling upset about the fact that you're out of alignment, it's like, oh, it's neutralizing it, right? This is the human condition, is that we're going to go out of alignment. And when you get that support and you're not beating yourself up about it, you spend less time there. So it's just a very basic conversation piece that we think is very important in mental agility. So at this point, like I talked about the compass, everyone has an awareness of feeling, but some of us are less aware of our feeling state than others. So I coached a male leader once who used to huff and puff and glower. He'd sit there in his meetings and he'd just glower at people because his state of mind, he'd gone out of alignment. And then it would get worse. He would stand up and stand in the corner of the room. And he was a very tall guy. And at times he paced up and down. And when I spoke to him, of course, he was pointing and he was saying, that lot in the meeting were, or, you know, ... why am I surrounded by idiots? You know, he'd point. And of course, when you point, you have 3 fingers pointing back. Clue. But so for him, I said to him, you know, what's your awareness of that emotion? And, you know, 1 to 10, when do you start becoming aware of that frustration and that irritation? And he said, I literally get to number 9 and then I blow. So his awareness was very low. And I said to him, well, how do you deal with this in your life with your family? And he said, my wife comes along and touches my arm and says, make up a name. Jim. So you can see that he had awareness of his emotion, but he hadn't learned to regulate or to respect that emotion himself. His lovely wife was helping him. But as a people leader, that was where we started in coaching. He needed to gain more awareness of his feeling state and what in and out of alignment looked like. And the shift for him was quite beautiful because he used to come into meetings. One of the shifts that occurred is he'd come into meetings and say, look, I'm not in a good place. My head's in another meeting. Can you give me 5 minutes? And I'll sit here, carry on. And that just totally, like, the meeting just relaxed because everyone was always looking to him for. So we have that red line, and so on one side of the red line, I have to go back to that, are we?
Oh yeah, sure.
So on one side of the red line, we've got out of alignment and in alignment. So for this gentleman, just gaining awareness of what out of alignment looked like was the beginning. So how do we move across that red line? So how do we move across that red line in terms of mental agility? So in terms of the evolutionary stages of mental agility, it starts with beginning to get aware of the feeling you're in, right? Because that's like one of the basics that you need to get aware of. So because that's the feedback mechanism that you need to check in with. And the single biggest thing that moves you across the red line is factoring thought into your feeling. So one, you're aware of your feeling. It's beginning to factor thought into your feeling, into your experience, into the possibilities, and into the moment. So this chap before that I was mentioning, his wife would touch his arm to tell him he was out of alignment, he wasn't factoring thought in at all. He was saying, I'm feeling bad, and it's down to you, right? So evolution, we're designed to evolve and to grow. And when you're not factoring thought in, evolution is kind of more accidental. So you gain insights, you see new things, but you can't trace back how that happened. You could say it was something about the event, or it was something about the guru I was listening to, or the meditation I was doing, or the book I was reading, but you can't go back and get access to that, right? So with what we're talking about here with mental agility is we're helping people understand that by factoring thought into your moment, you automatically move across that red line. And what happens is it's an unavoidable evolution. You can't help but evolve when you start to factor yourself and your thinking into each moment. So, and when I'm talking about thought, I'm not talking about changing your thinking, reframing your thinking, positive thinking, because that is a way of controlling thought. I'm actually talking, I mean, this is we talk in more detail about this in the mental agility workshops, but it's about understanding the role of thought and what thought does. And as you saw on the top of this diagram, we've got thought and feeling, right? So that feeling is coming from thought. And the fact that we think constantly, that is our evolutionary potential, that we can look to thought to help us evolve. So we haven't got it on, have we got on the screen the circles and the arrows? No. So we've got a diagram here, which we're not going to be sharing, but across the red line, when we're out of alignment, I've got swirls, we get stuck. So we get stuck in patterns of thinking, patterns of doing, and it's kind of like the washing machine mind. It's like the side of a river where the water goes round and round and gets a bit stuck, and that's where the mosquitoes grow. And then across the line, we've got, they can't really see it so well, but arrows, which kind of really depicts the flow of the stream. And that's how we're designed, is to access new thought and insight. And as you know, when you're in alignment, my goodness, the things that come to you, you see stuff, you realize stuff, you see new things. So being able to deliberately step to the right, I'm going to say to the left, step across that line is evolutionary. So I have a question I'd like you to think about. And then once you've thought about it, I'd like you to jot down some of the answers in chat. And the question is, what would it mean if feeling was coming from circumstance 100% of the time? Circumstance meaning something outside of my body, outside of my thinking, out here. So what would the implications be?
Go into the chat.
So just what would the implications be if feeling was coming from circumstance 100% of the time? And I'd love you to put some of your thoughts in the chat for us to have a look at. So one of the things that I would certainly don't understand the question. So what would it mean to you as a person if your feelings were coming from circumstance, e.g. that person, that weather, that event? So an example for me would be if circumstance had the ability to affect my feeling, make me feel something that I didn't want to feel, what would the implication be? So for me, I would be hypervigilant. I'd be watching out for people that might upset me. Yeah, very vulnerable. Absolutely. Yes, out of control, totally. Because you don't have that control. Frustrated, absolutely. Reactive, yeah, absolutely. Because the outside had so much impact on my emotional state. Reactive all the time, absolutely. Thank you, guys. That's awesome. So the next question.
Oh, God.
Keep going. Poor old Lynn's trying to manage the screen share. So the next question. I wonder what the question will be. What would it mean if my feeling was coming from thought 100% of the time? What would the implications be if feeling was coming from thought 100% of the time? My thought, right? So I'd love you to, once again, share some thoughts in the chat. So if my feeling was coming from me, in control, absolutely. Able to change, more in tune. Selfish, yeah. You'd certainly know where your feeling was coming from and who was in control, right? Great, thank you guys. Grounded. Oh, interesting. Less anxiety, yeah. So what the work we do here is really getting people to factor in the fact that thought is a constant in our world and that thought is coming through us, right? And whatever we think, we feel. So our feeling is coming directly from thought in the moment and no place else. That has a significant impact on our reactivity. It has a significant impact on our mental agility because control comes back inside. So I had a leader that I was coaching, another male leader, another angry male leader, who had quite, his skin tone was the sort of tone that you could see on his skin tone what he was thinking. So, and he was quite a frustrated and angry gentleman. So his skin would get redder and redder and redder and redder and redder in a meeting. And then it wouldn't be long before he then kind of had a go at somebody in the room. And it was amazing because people in the room would just stop. The eye contact would go because they knew that if eye contact was met, then they would get it. So with this leader, he would have a go regularly at people, but then he would beat himself up for weeks afterwards. About once he moved back into alignment, he would beat himself up, and of course, the fact that he was beating himself put him out of alignment again. So it's this sort of vicious cycle, and he initially refused to think it was to see that it was thought. It's ridiculous. You know, I'm surrounded by people who just don't listen to me. They don't do what I tell them. You know, all this reality, and because he, you know, because he was living in, his eye was not particularly the sort of place that he wanted to be in. So he was constantly feeling guilty. He was constantly feeling mad. He certainly wasn't feeling neutral that often. That he kind of, he thought, okay, I'll try it, you know. So I said to him, just experiment. And this is something I would ask you to do. Next time you feel a feeling that you wouldn't choose to feel, just ask yourself that question, where do I think that feeling is coming from? The ego will automatically point, you know, it's something out there, automatically, because that's how the mind works very quickly. But and he said, well, you know, Tanya was saying this thing about thought. So thought, what the hell, you know, what the hell? And he said, oh, what's this got to do with me? So it's just factoring you into the emotion rather than, you know, extracting yourself from that feeling. It's you know, it's coming from you and it's coming from your thought in the moment. So what happened for him is he started to have lots of little insights that over time accelerated, which is this unavoidable evolution we're talking about. And it accelerated his evolution. So it started with him sort of things like, he said, actually, I don't know what my team know. Actually, I've never listened to them, you know, that deeply. And one of his insights was, I don't like being a people leader, which was significant, right? Significant. He's not a people leader anymore, but can you see that all these little insights started to help him choose his more authentic path, helped him align to what he was good at. He wasn't a great people leader, he didn't rock his boat, but he was great in another area. Okay, so sorry, the screens went funny for a moment. We have one more exercise which we won't get you to do because we're running out of time. We really want to stimulate a conversation. And so when you're in alignment and when you're out of alignment, there are implications. We talked about that. And implications are clues and feedback that we can use to help us understand where we're at. So, we have a number of implications that we share in workshops. So this is what you guys were talking about here. So separate realities we've kind of squished it so it's a slide, but this is one of the implications we use in teams to help them, teams to be able to see some of the clues that you're in alignment and out of alignment. So the red side is out of alignment, inside. So we ask people, think about a conversation you had recently that didn't go so well, or a relationship difficulty you're having in the team or outside in life, and just circle the themes. What, you know, when you're out of alignment, which of these do you identify with? When you're in alignment, which of these do you identify with? And is this a theme in your life? So yeah, so that's just a one of many exercises and materials that we use to.
And we'll make this available on our website. So if you want to download it and have a go yourself, like or circle the themes that you regularly see, that's it's a very valuable exercise to do.
And what's kind of interesting about this is it's really about the I and the we. So how do we interact? And of course, on the left-hand side, there's when you're out of alignment, and on the green side is when you're in alignment. When you're out of alignment, if you looked at the green side, you just can't see it. You kind of go, no way, you know, you feel very, very justified. But it's a really helpful clue to let you know, like, you need to protect yourself and others from your uglies at this point, potentially. Your uglies being, you know, the things that come out when you're out of alignment. Okay, so the website we'll share in a moment. So what we wanted to do now, so we've just gone through some materials that we use. The diagram here we haven't shared, but it's a coaching tool that's really effective in helping with mediation, for example, or just helping folk understand, to begin to factor their world view into the feeling state and into the relationship. We've covered that we go in and out of alignment, that we have an internal compass that alerts us to that. And part of the unavoidable evolution is when we start to factor our thought into that feeling state. It helps us evolve. So because we're not separate, the way we show up impacts others. And for us, it's really important that we begin to have conversations on this edge in the workplace to help just get people to reflect and to neutralize and to make it safe to have kind of impactful conversations that help us all succeed collectively. So what I'd like, I don't know if Cheryl's still
No, I
here.
can do it.
Oh, you
I
can do it?
Yeah.
We've lost Cheryl by the looks of it, but what we'd love you to do now is we'd like you to, if it's okay, to put you in. Hi, Cheryl. Just to put you back, to put you into some breakout rooms. And what we'd love for you to do is to have a conversation between you around anything that you've heard, and what could you do to impact the mental agility of the workforce? So what one thing can you do? And then we'll get you to come back.
So maybe 5 minutes, max of 5 minutes in the breakout rooms.
All right, do you want me to do these breakout rooms?
Oh, yeah. Yes,
Yes,
please. That'll be
please.
awesome. Thank you, Cheryl.
Thank you.
All right, so the question is, what is one thing you can contribute to impact mental agility of the workforce?
Yes.
Yeah, thanks, Cheryl.
Oh, nice. Perhaps, Lynn, if it's possible, are you able to just type that question into the chat channel?
Yes, I will do that.
I just find it to be quite helpful to have that in kind of the front of mind. All right, let's open up these rooms, create breakout rooms. It's at random. Play nice, be kind and loving to the people you join rooms with. And how long are we doing, Tanya and Lynn?
Maximum of 5 minutes because we
5
need to leave. Yeah.
Sweet. All right. See you back here shortly, everyone. Oh, cool. Well, we've got about 7 minutes to go. I'm going to hand back to Tanya and Lynn for another couple of minutes, and then we'll close out. But I just mentioned to Tanya and Lynn how as soon as we come back from breakout rooms, the energy of everyone totally shifts. I can just see there's this lightness and smiles happening. So it looks like there's been some good chats.
So yeah, we'd love you to share if there's things that came out of your chat rooms. If you could share that on the channel, that would be fantastic.
Because I imagine if people feel comfortable to share anything that came up for your group, it not only it kind of gives everyone ideas as well. I imagine experiments that you could run. So you might have come up with something that actually would be really helpful for someone else. You might go, oh, that's good. I could use that, or I could try that, knowing full well that there's no guarantee any of these experiments work.
Being self-aware. Thanks, CD.
That's sometimes a hard pill to swallow, isn't it?
Very hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Understand where people. Yeah.
absolutely.
Kindness yourself and
absolutely.
helping others, working on me. I have to work on me all the time.
Well, it's trying to encourage others to do it when you're not doing it yourself. It falls very flat very quickly, doesn't it?
This is part of like us working together, is that we're helping each other all the time. Finding somebody that you can work with to help yourself develop on that edge is huge.
Absolutely.
Yeah, listening. Lots of stuff about listening to understand. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Free
Helping-
cells.
Understand this concept exists.
Yeah, listening is a big thing. I mean, listening involves being present, right? Present in that moment and actually listening non-judgmentally. So it's huge impact.
Wouldn't it be interesting, Tanya and Lynn, if you sort of perhaps I was just thinking as part of like a personal retrospective, if you'd sort of check in with yourself or maybe a buddy once a week or something to sort of have I done any of these things? Have I really listened to someone this week, or have I let someone be their true selves? Have I like actually consciously checking in, what is one thing that I've done this week, or at the beginning of a week, what's one thing that I could do that I'm going to try and do to actually take some action, rather than just go, I'm going to be more self-aware, or I'm going to to kind of hold yourself a little bit to account.
Yeah, absolutely. So look, I know we're running out of time, but we had like a final suggestion really for us for you guys, and that is one thing that you could do, of course, is increase clarity of when you're in and out of alignment, to look for the clues, to have those conversations, to normalize the fact that we are human and that we go in and out of alignment, and to factor that into working as a team. I'd also clearly encourage you to learn on this edge. So we've got some resources at the moment, a small number of resources, but we're adding more regularly at mentalagility.nz. Also follow us on LinkedIn. So we've got a LinkedIn page, Mental Agility, or connect to us as individuals. Fireside Chats is a new offering, really, because we wanted to really impact a larger number of people in the workforce. We already have impact with the cultural agility, mental agility labs, and the leader agility coaching. But the Fireside Chats is where you get to have these conversations in an organization. And next week at Generator, and then in December, we're basically showcasing the Fireside Chats. It's a free event. Come along and just get to see how a fireside chat could be a way of impacting the mental agility of the workforce. Yes, we'd love you to come along to that, and also invite leaders, people and cultural leads and coaches to join the movement. Joining the movement really means having the conversation on this edge.
Beautiful.
Full stop.
Thank you, ladies. The thought that keeps going through my head when I learn about mental agility, when I do my own research and reading on personal agility, and this concept and this responsibility that we have for ourselves to develop our own agility. The question that keeps going through my head is, what's the impact if we don't work on this stuff? What does the workplace look like if we continue to not give it that energy, that thought, that volume of actually, even just talking about it at work? I think CD had put a comment in there around, just starting to introduce these concepts in your workplace. Your workplace may or may not be ready for it. I'm sure there's many people on this call that have tried introducing concepts of emotions and talking about our feelings at work and things, and possibly met resistance in some workplaces. And that can be really hard, because you'd feel like sometimes you're sort of fighting an uphill battle. But that thought keeps coming back for me, is what's the impact if we don't do this, and if we don't keep working on it? And that feels really concerning. So and I love that you've got that LinkedIn page, because I think that's a really great place for people to just sort of keep tapping in and sharing their experiments of things that you're trying or you're seeing or you're doing. And again, if as a community we can start supporting each other, we can start probably collecting a little bit of evidence of other companies that are doing it, that makes it safe for other companies to try it as well. So
the cultural agility stuff is where we really help through change and transformation, and that really has quite a massive impact on the workforce. That sort of work. You've got the buy-in to do it, you see.
The buy-in, that's the one. Awesome. Thank you, ladies. Really appreciate your time. I've got a whole lot of notes I need to go back and digest and process. Thank you, everyone, for sharing your lunch hour with us today. Unfortunately, I can't bring my son into this call because he's lost his marbles upstairs, and my sister is currently, I can hear him through the floorboards, using his little voice that he's just definitely. But I'll be sure to introduce him at a future call. In a month's time, we're going to do another call. Normally, I'm really organised and I have my next call lined up and our topic all ready to go. I barely know which way's up at the moment, being a new mum, so I haven't had a chance to do that. So that's something I'm going to work on next week. If you have an opportunity or an idea or something that you would like to share next month, feel free to reach out. There's a bunch of different people I know that are doing cool stuff in this space right now, so I'll find someone wonderful to bring the group together, and we'll do a final session. Again, it'll be the first Friday of the month at lunchtime. Maybe we'll have a Christmas special. Maybe we'll get some ugly Christmas sweaters out. So thank you for being here today. Again, the recording will be available. I'll put it onto the Meetup app. And also I will send a link around as well in the Meetup app if you want to subscribe to my Ministry of People updates. That's where I send the updates of the videos and a few other things. Other than that, wonderful to see you. Good luck in supporting yourself and your own mental agility. Maybe give something a go over the weekend. See how your family or your partner or your friends respond to it. And thank you again for being part of this. If you have an opportunity before you leave, feel free to turn on your mic and say farewell. It's so nice to see you all. I've missed you.
Well,
Thanks, everyone.
thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
See ya. Have a good weekend.
Thank you. Bye.
See you guys.
Bye.
Bye.